Hey, what's up, everybody? How's it going? Happy 4th of July. I'm going to get through a few things, a few questions you guys asked me, and I'll also talk about my art show, my art gallery show I got coming up. Let me bang that out real quick. All right, my art show is going good. Everything's going fine. I'm pretty much done right now. I'm just touching up and tweaking a couple of canvases. The art show will be held at Happy Hour Gallery. That is 670 Monkawk Highway, out in the Hamptons. It's out there, like where Jaws was filmed, the movie's Jaws. That's where it's going to be. And address will be added in the description. Right? Yeah, that's about it. It's from July 14th to July 20th, and July 14th is my birthday. I'll probably be there on the 16th. All right, and you have that. Now I would like to talk about a friend of mine that had just passed away, Chucky Rest. You know, I'm sitting back here thinking, and yeah, if it wasn't for Chucky Rest, there probably never would have been an RD, honestly. Like the Mavroidis family themselves, it was 4 brothers. The youngest was Kevin Mavroidis. Then you had Michael Mavroidis that had passed away a couple of years ago. And you had Joey Mavroidis. He was the next oldest. And then you had Chucky Mavroidis, which was the oldest. Now, Chucky Mavroidis, I believe, was 1 year older than me. So I'm going to be 54. I guess he's like 56 or something like that. He was going to be 56. But yeah, he passed away a couple of weeks ago. That was pretty sad because he was like one of my first friends. He's the person that actually introduced me to everyone up in John Jay Park. Like that was the beginning of it all. And I would never have met those people, or probably not at that moment or anything. Just put it this way, it's a big part of my life, Chucky, and it's pretty sad that he passed away. It's like I've been saying on this podcast about the reasons I write graffiti and, you know, group homes and the people, street kid shit. Like when street kids from back then, they see that shit nowadays, like, oh shit, fucking RD, man, that dude's still out there, yo, that's hard body shit. You know, that's the reason I do it. Like, there was no internet and shit like that. I've been writing graffiti since before the beeper. So, yeah, I go back. And, starting to realize, man, I'm losing my crowd. Like, the people I try to impress are, like, no longer around. Like, the people I hung out with, they're all either in prison, dead, or they moved out of New York. And there's a couple of them still hanging in there, striving and doing their thing. But yeah, it's almost like I have no audience anymore as far as it goes with graffiti. It's been that way for a while. And I mean, that was the whole thing with me, the wow factor. You know, people that grew up with me and remember writing graffiti with me. I'm 13, 14 years old. And they still see RD. They're like, holy shit, yo, this motherfucker, he's my age, yo, and he's still out there like that. That was my thing I liked. And that's kind of gone. Like, yeah, Chucky's dead. Like, that's deep, man. I love that dude, man. The whole family, and even the mother, Evelyn, very nice woman. I saw her a couple of weeks ago, actually. And Kevin, the youngest brother, lives down the block from me right now where I'm sitting here with you and the camera. And yeah, that was a pretty bad one, man. I felt bad for that. That's sad. Definitely sad, man. Yeah, we go way back, man. Yeah. Alright, let me see what I put here. Hold on. Alright, people, I'm sorry about that. My battery died. Getting back to Chucky. Alright, hold on a second. Let me just take a break here, you know? Yeah, get my pipes right. You know, I love talking shit. Now, let me take you back with Chucky. Before Chucky, like 2nd, 3rd grade, I used to, Eddie Bannock beat me up in the 2nd grade. I hung out with Eddie Bannock a lot after we got in a fight. Hell, Margaret Colleran beat me up in like the 3rd grade. Margaret Colleran, yeah. I knew the Colleran family. Yeah, they're from here. Very nice family. You had Tommy Colleran, the oldest. And you had Marty Colleran, you had Patty Colleran, you had Margaret Colleran. Colleran family, shout out, man. Love you guys. Definitely a big part of my childhood. Anyway, getting back to Eddie Bannock. He lived on 65th Street between 1st and 2nd Avenue. And I swear, man, we were already burglars. Like, we were already second-story men, cat burglar, whatever you want to call it. Like, we'd climb out his fire escape on 65th Street up into someone else's apartment. We'd open the window, we'd go in there, we'd steal their money, their change, coins. We'd piss in their orange juice and shit. Little kids, like 9 years old, 10 years old, already breaking into people's apartments and shit. Alright, now, there was... I wouldn't go as far as to say it was a rumor, but a lot of people stayed away from me. I was a weirdo. I set fires. I used to like to set fires. I don't know, I was just fascinated with the destruction that fires would cause. A lot of the older kids, they thought I was a little strange, setting fires. Now, when I met Chuck, I burned a couple of things down, just put it that way. Hey, I was no arsonist, I was no pyro, I was a firebug. I was young, I was experimenting with fire. I burned down a couple of things. And, people started talking. And it was, I was labeled firebug. A cute firebug, because I'm little, I'm not doing some wild. I burned down some buildings. I burned down the recycling under the 59th Street Bridge, the Queensboro Bridge. I got in a fight with the dude. My dog bit the guy in the leg. The guy went home. I burned the fucking place to the ground. It's under the bridge. It's like fenced in area. And this is before the 5-cent returnable cans and all that. That whole, you could return your can and get 5 cents. Before that, you actually had some guy under the bridge there that had a fenced in area where you could bring your glass to him. He'll smash it down and then they send it off somewhere. It was a program that was in place before the 5-cent returnables. I burnt that fucking place to the ground. So yeah, but I don't know. I don't relate with the term of me being an arsonist. It was easy habit to kick. I believe I was just experimenting, playing with the idea of burning shit down. I burnt shit down, and I wasn't the only one. A couple other few. One dude I know, he burned down Lamston's. Fell asleep inside the place. Set the place on fire and fell asleep in the motherfucker. Yeah, I did 7-8 years for that shit. That was later on. Another guy burned down 74th Street, abandoned building there. D3, Sammy, he used to like setting fires. But anyway, when I started hanging out with the Mavroidises, well, Joey Mavroidis I was hanging out with first, and Chucky Mavroidis used to hang out with my older brother, my only brother, and Lace, Andrew. And Chucky used to write Step. And he wrote Chuck, and he wrote Vade. I believe at that point in his life he was writing Vade, V-A-D-E. Now, anyway, make a long story short, I was hanging out with Joey, then I started hanging out with Chucky Mavroidis. And actually, Joey Mavroidis was friends with Eddie Bannock. So through Eddie Bannock, I met Joey Mavroidis. Through Joey Mavroidis, I met Chucky Mavroidis, And through all them, I winded up going up to John Jay Park and hanging out with all those dudes like John, JJ, D3, the other Bannock, Vinny Bannock. I was in school with their sister, Maureen Bannock. Just so many kids, so many people used to hang out up in John Jay Park, the crowd before us, the older crew, everyone. And that's how I kind of got involved with that group of people up there. And I'll leave it there. Chucky Mavroidis, man, rest in peace, bro. Definitely, man. Yeah. Many funny times, man. We used to pull jokes on people. Like, that's what we did all day when we were little. We would just fuck with, people walking by in the street, pulling jokes on them and shit. Yeah, man. Crazy motherfuckers, man. All right, now, with that said, a few of you people, I believe 2 people or 3 people over the course of me starting my thing had asked me about Joey Brennan. Yes, I knew Joey Brennan very well. Once again, 3rd and 4th grade, I was in school with Joey Brennan. And he lived on 57th Street, I lived on 62nd Street, and the school was on 66th and 67th Street. PS 183. 3rd, 4th grade. 3rd grade, Miss Glenn's was my teacher. Joey Brennan was in my class. We used to walk home from school every day, me and him. Sometimes I'd walk him all the way down to 57th Street and I'd walk back to 62nd Street. I knew Joey real well. Even before that, my mother took me and my brother Sean to a park under the bridge. It's down the block from the building we used to live in. It's the closest park to my house. So when you're a child, your mother brings you to the park. Now, I remember my mother brought me to the park with my brother, and Joey Brennan was there with his brother. I forget what they did. They either squirt my mother, Joey did it, he squirt my mother with a water gun or he threw a water balloon at her or something. So ever since then, my mother did not like Joey Brennan. He didn't like him. She was pissed at him, yeah. He squirted with water or something. I forget what happened. But then many years later, I wound up going to school with Joey. 3rd grade. I got kicked out of Catholic school. And 3rd grade and 4th grade. In 2nd grade, I was with Eddie Bannock and them, blah, 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 blah. So, where are we at now? Joey Brennan. All right. So now, Joey Brennan and me were in the 3rd, 4th grade together. 5th grade's when you go to Wagner. But as Joey had gotten older, I really didn't hang out with him much. I'd still see him around the neighborhood. I didn't hang out with him at all, to be truthful with you. It was violent, man. Not him per se, but the people he hung out with. Like, I never understood that. Like, you're violent just to be violent. And, like, I never saw no money in that, so I didn't get involved with that. Like, if you're going to be violent to get paid for it or something, then, yeah, I get it, you know, but just violence to be violent, like, it's kind of weird to me. I didn't get involved with that shit. I stayed out of it, and I was not into that. But as far as it goes with the murder that took place in the game rooms, yeah, I was in the middle of that block, down the block from John Jay Park from York Avenue to First Avenue. I was on that block. John was actually in the game room when the murder took place, and he grabbed a bucket of tokens. Like, you had these metal buckets filled with tokens in these game rooms back in the days. This is going way back, early 80s. You take the coin and you put it in the machine, you can play the video game. Now, to get these coins, you got to go up to a guy and buy the coins off the guy. I think it was like a 4 for $1 or something like that, you know, and you put them in the machine, you can play Space Invaders, Asteroids, Centipede, all that shit. I don't even know if Pac-Man was out at that point. Yeah, Pac-Man was probably out, maybe the first version of it. But, anyway, yeah. Guy gets murdered, Joey gets charged with it. I did not know the victim, the person that got murdered in the game room. I did not know the victim. Joey gets charged with the murder. Joey goes to prison for the murder. One of those stints that my brother did upstate, he did tell me he bumped into Joey up there once. I don't believe he made contact with Joey, because in prison, just because you know someone from the neighborhood doesn't necessarily mean they're like that up there, you know what I mean? So my brother kind of kept to himself, but he did tell me that Joey was up there. He looked like he was doing all right. He was keeping to himself. I forget what prison it was. My brother was in a prison his whole life, like Comstock. It would have to be a max because of a murder case, but I don't know. Maybe I could write him a letter and ask him about that. Yeah, he said Joey was doing all right, keeping to himself and shit like that. And he saw him just on the compound, like on the main line, just passing. He didn't even say hello to Joey. It's just going one way, my brother's going the other, you know. But yeah, he said he was doing all right. He looked like he was holding his own, you know. And now, many years go by, and my friend Frankie Gator, my very close friend Frankie Gator, passes away. And I'm at his wake with Dova, Orlando, the guy who writes Dova. I went with him. This is maybe 4 years ago, Frankie Gator passed away. And at his wake, I bumped into Joey Brennan's older brother. And Joey Brennan's older brother told me Joey's doing great. He got out of prison, he's living in Florida, he's got a good life, and he's happy, and I'm so glad to hear that, man. Yo, God bless Joey, man. Yeah, he was a tight one, man. Definitely a tough kid, man. Always wearing a leather bomb and chewing bubblegum and setting it off, man. Fuck yeah. Yo, straight up, man. Yo, that shit, man. Wow, he was a young kid when that shit happened, man. A young, small. He was a little dude, man. He was like on the small side of a human, you know. He wasn't tall. A little white kid going up to prison back then, man. That's like before all that blood shit was on the East Coast and everything. Oh, that shit had to be hard, man. I ain't gonna front. But God bless him, man. He made it through there, man. He's got his life ahead of him, man. Yo, to you, Joey, shout outs, man. Definitely, man. We go back. Right. Yeah. Now, I remember later on, one of these mafia guys, Sammy the Bogavano, no, because he's a Gambino, but one of them, I believe it was the Genovese crime family or something, like they were laundering money through these game rooms. They were called games. And after this murder took place, what did they call it in the newspapers, a game room massacre or some shit like that, a game room murder. Anyway, after that murder took place, they shut down all the fucking game rooms. And I remember it coming up in transcripts later that, or like one of these mafia rat guys actually were mentioning those places. I was like, wow, because I always thought it was just rumored, you know, the Italians were pissed off at it, but, you know, yeah, apparently a lot of that money got fucked up when that shit happened. Like it really wasn't rumored. It was mentioned in court cases later on when they were indicting these mafia guys, these big bosses or whatever the hell they were. And yeah, that was definitely an interesting case, man. I'm so happy, you know, Joey's out and doing this thing, man. Yeah. All right. What else was there? All right. Now, someone had asked me about... hold on. I just want to look at my camera and make sure it's still running. You know, because I got to make sure when it hits a half hour, this thing will shut off. I don't know. I'm trying to keep an eye on the clock. That's why I keep looking here. So, all right. Now, as far as it goes with these guys, Air and Chester, Graffiti Writers from Queens, someone mentioned to me that they heard I was carrying around a big old machete with their names written on it. On one side of it said Chester. Flip it over, on the other side it said Air. No, that never ever happened. To be truthful with you, I don't even remember having problems with those guys. I remember seeing them up, not like an extravagant amount or anything like that, but I remember the most memorable thing in my mind is the way they wrote all over the girders of the 7 train and a train going out from Queensboro Plaza to Ditmars in Queens. They climbed out on the metal girders, the structure that actually holds the train tracks up on the ground, you know, above the ground. It's called the elevated platform. Trains run along it. You've probably seen videos and footage if you're not from New York. So these guys climbed out and they rode all over that shit. If I had problems with those dudes, I would have climbed out there and crossed it all out. I never had problems with them. It was never brought to my attention. Now, I don't know, maybe or definitely, probably, they know someone that don't like me or something. I have beef with the whole fucking city, so it's not unreal. But no, I don't ever, like, they never really hit my radar. If they were going over me, I wasn't aware of it. It was not brought to my attention. I did not see it. I did not notice it. I never met them. I kind of like what they did, but I mean, they really didn't do that much. They did interesting spots. But, like, they didn't smash it, you know, they were up. But I don't know. No, I don't ever remember having problems with those guys. Now, let me stop this video so I can start it again and keep talking, not having to worry about it running out, all right? All right, guys, how's it going? I'm going to wrap this up real quick now. My boy Redhead Joey started his podcast on here. Now, a lot of you guys, about 4 or 5 times, well, I've mentioned him in my past videos, and a few times you guys, oh shit, what's up with the Wheelie King, little white boy, redhead? I remember him busting nuts up the Ave, you know, popping wheelies up the Ave and shit. And yeah, he was real good friends with Alpo, and he's actually like talking about his times with Alpo, hanging out with Alpo. You know, Alpo the human being, not like this legendary mythical rap thing that they got transpired. Hell, you even got people coming out saying that Alpo was their father and shit. There's rappers and stuff like that. So yeah, that's definitely cool, man. You get some real insight on it, man. Joey was there, man. Them motherfuckers were like peanut butter and jelly, yo, straight up. That's interesting, man. I'll tell you, Joey, Redhead Joey, man, you live an interesting fucking life, man. He's got his own podcast out there, his channel now. It's called Redhead Joey, but the head is spelled H-E-D. So it's R-E-D, H-E-D, Joey, J-O-E-Y. You know, check that shit out. That channel's gonna blow up, man. That's real shit from people that actually hung out with Alpo, like the real fucking Alpo. You know, not all this dramatized or demonized bullshit that's out there, man. Yo, shout out. That's good, man. A lot of people out there, man. You know, they got so much shit going on about this fucking, about Alpo, and yes, I watch it myself, and sometimes it's in disgust. Like, none of these people are all like young kids and shit. They're out there, like, going by what they read and shit like that, you know, and I don't think any of them really hit the mark. I've watched that movie, Paid in Full, and I don't know, they say Alpo actually liked the part he was played, but I don't remember him carrying on that way myself either. So, you know, he was always very humble dude, man, cool dude. But Joey breaks it down, man. It's pretty cool, man. It's actually like experiences with him hanging out with Alpo and shit like that. And yeah, if you saw Alpo, you saw Joey, man. Yeah, the world knows that shit, man. Like, if from anyone's mouth, you get me, that'd be like me talking about D3 or something like that. Like, I hung out with D3 my whole life and shit, you know? Or like me talking about Lace or something. Yeah, it's like, yeah, they were like, you know, they were buddies, man. A lot of, you know, you're going to humanize them. You're going to let you know about Alpo the human, man. That's some good shit, man. That's important out there, man. Hey, I don't condone it, man, as far as it goes with, me, myself, I never ever sold a drug a day in my life. Now, I stole a lot of drugs. I stuck up a lot of drug dealers. I did a lot of drugs, but I never personally sold a drug. That was too wild of a game for me. But, yo, Alpo played that game, man. He played that shit hard, man. Straight up, man. Definitely did his thing, man. I mean, it's almost like, when you hear about it, it's almost like the stories of Doc Holliday or Billy the Kid or something, the way Alpo's been worked up to. And this is good, because, yo, Joey's going to humanize it. Like, that's good, man. Like, Alpo the human, the person, the friend, you know? That is good, man. I'll tell you, that channel's going to blow up, man. That shit'll blow up, man. Yo, let me tell you, man, Redhead Joey and them, man, they started all that shit with the motorcycles, like in packs of people going up the Ave. Yeah, them, the twins, the Faldetta brothers, Joey Mavroidis, like I was just talking about the Mavroidises, JJ, John. Yeah, all them dudes, man. Them motherfuckers started that shit. Yeah, Winky, all that shit, man. Those are the dudes that actually started, like, packs of motorcycles. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, going up the Ave, man. That's the shit right there, man. That's like legendary shit, man. Redhead Joey, man, he's like a legend up in Harlem, man. For real, man. That shit was wild, man. Good times, man. Definitely, man. Check out Redhead Joey, R-E-D, H-E-D, J-O-E-Y. Yo, give him a follow, man. Subscribe, man. That channel's gonna blow up, man. You see, man. You watch. That's the shit right there, man. For real. Real motherfucker that knew Alpo. Not like some little teenager running around trying to build a channel and shit, man. That's some real shit right there, man. Yo, nothing but respect, man. Plus, ask Joey questions. Y'all ask me about Joey, the Wheelie King, a little white boy, this, that. Yeah, it's... how do you put it? A white boy's perspective. Alpo and the white boy's perspective. I think he was calling it, or something like that. Real good shit, man. Nothing but love and respect, man. You know, straight up. Yo, hey, people. I'll be back on, you know, here and there type thing. I might video the show that I do, the gallery show. I don't know, if no one shows up, I'm not going to sit there saying, look, no one showed up. Like, wonk, wonk, wonk. But I don't think that'll happen. I think it'll be very successful, you know. If not, I'll have a lot of art to sell. All right, people, take care of yourselves, man. Always look on the bright side.